All right. So the Equal Protection Clause of the Fourteenth Amendment mandates that no state shall deny the rights of any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. This is interpreted as a guarantee that individuals in similar predicaments or situations will be treated similarly by the law. It requires that laws and policies do not discriminate unfairly against certain groups, and it serves as a cornerstone, ensuring fairness and justice into the entire legal or justice system. My interpretation of the Equal Protection Clause is it was narrowly applied, but it was mostly applied to protect African Americans from discriminatory or unfair state laws, specifically in the post-war civil era or the post-Civil War era. However, as legal precedents developed, courts began to use the clause in order to address a broader range of discriminatory practices, including those that are based on gender, sexual orientation, and other characteristics that prevented some from the legal system. Some correct interpretations of this was Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954. The Supreme Court interpreted the Equal Protection Clause correctly in Brown versus Board of Education, where the court ruled that state-sponsored segregation in public schools violated the clause. The landmark decision to overturn the separate but equal doctrine established in Plessy v. Ferguson in 1896, and it is seen as a foundational case in the entire civil rights movement. Another correct interpretation of this was Obergefell versus Hodges in 2015. The court's decision in this case was another correct application of the Equal Protection Clause. This ruling legalized same-sex marriage, recognizing that denying same-sex couples the right to marry violated the principle of equal protection, as it discriminated based on sexual orientation instead of valid characteristics. Some incorrect interpretations of this rule were Plessy v. Ferguson in 1896. The Plessy v. Ferguson decision is often viewed as an incorrect interpretation of the Equal Protection Clause. The court upheld racial segregation under the separate but equal doctrine, effectively allowing states to discriminate against African Americans as long as the facilities provided were considered equal. This interpretation was later overturned by Brown versus the Board of Education. Another incorrect interpretation of this ruling was Gonzalez v. Castle Rock in 2005. In the Gonzalez v. Castle Rock case, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the Equal Protection Clause did not guarantee a person the right to police protection. The case involved a woman, Jessica Gonzalez, whose children were killed by her estranged husband after she had obtained a restraining order on him. This court's decision, based on a strict interpretation of the clause, was controversial as it failed to extend equal protection to individuals seeking to enforce restraining orders. So it basically gave the same amount of rights to the person who wanted the restraining order as the same rights as the person who got the restraining order put on them. The court also did not recognize that failing to protect vulnerable individuals may disproportionately affect marginalized groups, which also could be seen as an incorrect interpretation of the clause's intent. The Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment is crucial for ensuring fairness and justice, but its interpretation has evolved and been contested over time. While the courts have made landmark decisions in order to explain rights and protections, there have been many cases where the court's interpretation did not fully align with the clause's purpose to provide equal treatment for all of its individuals. The ongoing application of this clause in modern cases continues to shape how the law addresses inequality. Some sources I chose or I pulled evidence from were Brown versus the Board of Education, the Plessy versus Ferguson case, the Equal Protection Clause overview, as well as case law overview of the 14th Amendment.